Here's to physics reigning over philosophy. Philosophy for the sake of argument, and sex with a sophist. When did Costello write this toast? He gazed at it hanging with magnetic force and sliced apart the three pieces. Physics reigning over philosophy made sense. Costello won over many arguments with philosophies. However, he could settle any debate with the empirical dynamics of physics. Philosophy for the sake of argument. The beauty of philosophy is the ability to finesse any discussion through persuasion and rhetoric. As a bartender, so many personalities come through your life, and each one with infinite opinions. Garnering their kindness became a ritual for Costello. Prove the naysayers wrong and just walk into the abyss knowing every being comes with a kindness that sometimes simply needs to be unearthed. Sex with a sophist. Why must he always insert some random sexual context to these toasts? This one was just a period punctuation in this homage to philosophers. Good luck finding a true sophist these days. Suppose if you do, may as well mark the moment with some carnality. The energy around Costello was ample. In fact, it was staggering. The oxygen was full. His vision was lucid. His thoughts were racing. He was animated. He dove into the refrigerator and pried 2 beers from the box. He pulled the cork from a fresh bottle of Reposado and rinsed 2 pint glasses. 12 ounces of 45-degree Mexican lager poured into one glass, while somewhere between 10 to 14 ounces of tequila filled the other. He pulled out his Kershaw blade and popped a hole in the second can. Some wild entity took the helm and he shotgunned a beer. He took in a long stare at his photo of him and Grands, thinking to himself, where had he landed himself? The basic morality he'd architected over his life wanted to know the error of his way and a path towards atonement, and he was tired of the dawdling. He readied the dais for the full tribunal. The lucidity continued climbing as he filled his blood with alcohol. His only fear was the limpidness would begin to weary and he'd wind up waking face down at the table again. The sun began to set and the downtown streets of Los Angeles became shadows and echoing voices. He thumbed through his phone briefly at social media and realized, once again, the future lies within these devices. He saw a very dystopian and detached society. He averted his eyes to his bike. A mosaic full custom titanium geometry with NV carbon wheels in a cockpit, all pushed by a Campagnolo drivetrain. Looking at all that bike deepened his sadness. The idea of never being able to go cycling on even short tours again was a hard pill to swallow. Jenna and cycling were his 2 adulations. For a brief moment, he considered cashing out his Ethereum and just taking his secret to the road. Other than Catherine possibly leading a private investigator on with him as a potential suspect, there hasn't been a single moment in 7 years to ever make him believe he was truly considered a suspect. He just couldn't go on any longer without the truth. He knew his ability to take in a single moment of existence without knowing the answers would be impossible. He pressed on with the evening's plans. Before it was dark in the city, he was vibrantly drunk and aching for each new pour. It was the perfect storm for his agenda. Just as he caught his stride, his cell phone buzzed. An all-caps text message from an unfamiliar number. "I know what you're doing." Costello took a moment to assess the situation, all while continuing to drink. Who is this and who do I know that types in all caps? Do I casually respond and see what comes back? Do I ask who it is? Do I ignore it? Costello responded back in all caps. "I know what you're doing." The unknown messenger's text bubble popped up. Costello's heart rate jumped up waiting for the response. Another text message in all caps. "LOL!" exclamation point. "I saw you at Brianna's apartment." False alarm. Costello texts back, this time in lowercase. "I think you have the wrong number. This is Aaron." 3 question marks. Text bubble popped up again for quite some time. A final all caps text message. "Sorry, man. My bad. Carry on." Costello grinned with affirmation and delight. He did just that and carried on, poisoning himself with lager and tequila. He's got an esoteric objective and a long view that needs zero more interruptions. Phone got set to airplane mode and prepped for recording. He wasn't tallying pints tonight. Seemed his salience had him a bit overzealous. He checked the tequila bottle, and he was a third of the way through. He poured another glass and chipped away at it as he put out all the tools and totems for the evening. Once he felt ready, he settled in at the dais and casually drank a pint of tequila that brought the volume of the bottle down to about 2/3 empty. Costello pressed record. His clarity began to worry him. How will his imaginary crew appear if he's eyes wide open staring at the chairs surrounding the table? Right at that moment, he had a visceral memory of a day at the track with Grands. It was something he needed to see. He did nothing to shake off the visual and dove in experiencing a warm Wednesday where they had lost Grand's $200 limit. As always, Grands never went beyond his limit and taught Costello to always know those limitations. A young Costello asked if they could get a soda before they left. Grands smiled and walked over to a concession stand where he told him, "Even when we take a loss, we can always splurge on the things that will give us hope for next time." Costello always remembered that moment as a lesson from Grands teaching him to never debilitate the basic life we live for, even when we've made a choice that set us back, and never live beyond your means. If you live beyond your means, eventually one day, there will be no means to look forward to. Costello came back from this conscious memory and focused on his apartment. Just as things came back into focus, there sat an entire table of people at his dining table.